Welcome to Peacebuilding Initiatives with José Barzola. Peacebuilding Initiatives are collaborative ways of developing healthy, positive relationships via dialogue, cross-cultural understanding, and exploring ways to shift our own perspective to build compassion and empathy within our communities. Thank you for joining us today. On today's episode, we have Julie Chiya, who is an author, speaker, coach, and passionate education administrator whose remarkable journey from adversity to achievement is as powerful as it is motivational. Julie brings a wealth of knowledge from her background in early childhood and ESL education, as well as advanced degrees in human resource management and K-12 education administration from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. A dedicated community leader and founder of a local chess night for kids, Julie embodies the spirit of resilience and transformation. In her latest book, Pushing Through Your Obstacles, she shares her own story growing up in poverty, facing domestic violence, moving through shelters and foster care, and overcoming a childhood marked by instability and hardship. Despite these early challenges, Julie emerged with great purpose and a mission to empower others to rise above their circumstances. At just 31, she's a homeowner and educator, devoted parent, committed to breaking generational cycles and helping others do the same. Through practical strategies and deeply personal insights, Julie has shown us how to reframe our mindset and tap into our inner strength, turn adversity into opportunity, build self-leadership and resilience, thrive in the face of uncertainty, and create a lasting legacy for change. And definitely look forward to having further conversations about these. She's walked the path and now she's lighting the way forward for others. You can definitely learn more about her book at pushingthroughyouropstacles.com, and we'll have this in the summary as well. But first of all, I just want to thank Julie so much for her time and for being here and kind of getting us a little started. Julie, welcome. Could you just start us by telling us a little bit about your background and what inspired you to write Pushing Through Your Obstacles?
Certainly. Thank you for having me today. So I was born and raised here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and education has always been my life's work. I hold degrees in early childhood and elementary education, along with masters in both human resource management and education administration. My career spans 9 years with the Department of Education, both as a teacher and vice principal, along with experience at Kamehameha Schools and Hongwanji Mission School. I'm actually at an exciting transition point right now. I've just accepted a position at Punahou School where I will start this Wednesday. So, what inspired me to write Pushing Through Your Obstacles was being able to capture and tell or share my story with others. Holding on to all of these memories years after years can be so exhausting. So, part of my personal healing journey of documenting my experiences was to write them down and be able to move forward and on. Being able to describe my own experience and knowledges into this book allowed me to provide support by sharing what I've learned for years and generations to come. Connecting through writing as both a personal catharsis and as a legacy for others to connect with adds an emotional dimension for readers. I know I wish I had this type of book from my mother before she passed on, so I that I could have learned more about her and who she was.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that and those insights. And hopefully, as folks kind of listen to this, I know a lot of sometimes folks are may not consider how their own life experiences can possibly this is how books are developed. You never know who's out there, you never know what kind of lessons can be learned, uh, and who can connect with your stories. Now you've overcome so much poverty. We talked a little about the domestic violence, life in shelters and foster cares. How do your early experiences shape who you are today? Oh, you're muted right now, Julie.
My early experiences, poverty, domestic violence, life in shelters, and foster care shaped who I am today by giving me a profound understanding of resilience. Living through those challenges taught me that your circumstances don't define your potential. And as a result, I developed a heightened sense of empathy for children facing similar situations, which directly influenced my approach as an educator, particularly when I worked with demographics from low socioeconomic status, single parent households, and students who reside in housing. These experiences weren't just obstacles to overcome, but they became the foundation for my passion to create safe, nurturing spaces for students. In writing Pushing Through Your Obstacles, I wanted to show that our most difficult chapters often become our greatest sources of strength and purpose. Those early struggles gave me the perspective to see possibilities where others might see limitations. And that's something I bring to every classroom and every page of my book.
Thank you. Thank you. And was there a specific turning point or moment when you realized I have to tell my story?
Yes, there was definitely a specific turning point or moment where I realized I have to tell my story, as I had been sharing pieces of my journey informally with friends and colleagues, and the response was consistently, "You need to write this down." What struck me was how people connected with the different aspects of my story, some with the struggle and others with the resilience. One conversation in particular stood out where someone told me, "This isn't just your story to hold on to, it could help so many others." That's when it clicked that my experiences weren't just personal history, but potentially a resource for others facing their own obstacles. That realization transformed what had been an independent healing journey into a mission to reach people who might need to hear exactly what I had lived through. I was sharing my story with others, and I was told I should write a book. This would be a good story to tell the world.
Now, you call your book, well, on the top of the book, it says a transformation roadmap for seeing the unseen. So, what does that mean to you, and how is the book structured to help others transform their lives?
What a transformation roadmap means to me is essentially a pathway of positive change that you actively create for yourself. So, unlike typical self help approaches that offer one size fit all solutions, my book acknowledges that everyone's obstacles are unique, but the strategies for overcoming them share common principles. The book is structured to help others transform their lives by first guiding readers to honestly confront their own circumstances, then providing practical frameworks to envision and build their desired future. Each chapter combines my personal experiences with actionable steps, reflection questions, and exercises that encourage readers to take control of their lives and make changes immediately, not someday, but today. What makes this approach different is that I'm walking alongside the reader as someone who navigated similar terrain, not lecturing from a position of theoretical expertise. The transformation happens when readers reflect on their own obstacles and recognize that despite their circumstances, they still have the ability and expertise to chart their own course forward.
Now, you talk also about seeing the unseen. Might you unpack that idea for us?
Yeah, seeing the unseen is about developing the foresight to anticipate the domino effects of your decisions before you make them. It's asking yourself not just what do I want to happen, but what could happen several steps down this path. When I work with people on transformation, I encourage them to mentally walk through multiple scenarios, including challenging ones, and honestly assess if they are prepared to navigate those possibilities. This isn't about fear or hesitation. It's about making informed choices with your eyes wide open. In my own journey, learning to see these potential consequences before they materialize was one of my most valuable skills I developed. It's a difference between being constantly reactive to life's challenges and strategically creating the path you actually want.
Is there a certain chapter or story in your book that you would say hits home the most for you personally?
In chapter 19, Rebuilding Confidence, this chapter hits home the most for me personally. This chapter explores how quickly confidence can be shattered by life's obstacles, yet how essential it is for moving forward. I share a recent vulnerable story about walking away from my vice principal program in December of 2024 to prioritize work-life balance, followed by being in a three-car collision on New Year's Eve. This was when my confidence hit rock bottom. What I discovered is that rebuilding confidence isn't just about positive affirmations. It's about recognizing your worth despite circumstances telling you otherwise. It's finding that spark of self-belief when everything else feels extinguished. This chapter resonates most with readers, showing how many people silently struggle with confidence. Confidence returns one small victory at a time.
Thank you. Thank you. So now you tend to emphasize self-leadership throughout the book. How would you define that in your own words?
In my own words, self-leadership is defined as taking ownership of your life's direction. It's recognizing that despite whatever circumstances you face, you still hold the power to make choices that align with your values and goals. For me, self-leadership emerged from necessity. In the foster care system and during times of instability, I had to develop the internal compass to guide myself and seek control of what I could. It involves honest self-assessment and having the discipline to hold yourself accountable. What makes self-leadership different from just positive thinking is that it acknowledges challenges. It's about asking yourself, given what I'm facing, what is the next right step I can take? Throughout the book, I show how this mindset transforms you from feeling like a victim of your circumstances or someone looking for pity to becoming the architect of your own life story, empowered to write the next chapters on your own terms.
Well, thank you. And how did you go about cultivating grit and resilience in your own life? Maybe there's something our listeners can learn today. Were there daily habits or mindset shifts that help most?
Yeah, so to cultivate grit and resilience in my own life, I've made countless sacrifices for long-term stability. For instance, I worked multiple jobs simultaneously to be able to put down a down payment without any assistance from anyone else because having a permanent roof over my head represented the security I never had growing up. The daily habit that strengthened my resilience most consistently was returning to my why when faced with obstacles. Each morning, I'd remind myself what I was working toward and why it mattered. This wasn't just positive thinking, it was purposeful thinking. I also learned to celebrate small victories rather than focusing only on the end goal. It's about the journey. And these seemingly minor shifts in perspective built the mental muscle needed to persist when giving up would have been easier.
You talked a little bit about hitting rock bottom without support, resources, or even belief. Uh,
Mhm.
what's the very first step one can take that you would advise?
The very first step someone can take when they're at rock bottom without support, resources, or even belief is to remember their why. When everything else is stripped away, reconnecting with your core purpose or the people you are doing this for can provide that tiny spark needed to take just one more step forward. In my darkest moments, my why, which was being with my family again, and later on my son, became my both my anchor and my compass. It doesn't have to be grand. It might be something as simple as I deserve better than this, or I need to show others they were wrong about me. That reconnection with purpose becomes that foundation for everything else, and it fuels your drive.
Now we're going to shift a little more toward like education, community. So in your bio, it talks about you're an educator, community leader, and a mom. Uh, how do those roles influence your approach to leadership and healing?
As an educator, community leader, and a mother, these roles have influenced my approach to leadership and healing by giving me a complete perspective on what support truly means. In the classroom, I've learned that every person has different strengths and challenges that require individualized approaches. And as a community leader, I've seen how creating safe spaces for vulnerability can transform not just the individuals, but entire groups. As a mother, I've experienced firsthand how consistent presence and unconditional belief can help someone build their confidence. These roles have taught me that genuine leadership isn't about having all the answers, it's about creating environments where people feel empowered to find their own solutions. My journey has been strengthened by witnessing how these same principles work across different contexts, whether with my students, community members, or my own family.
Thank you. Might you have a message for young people growing up in unstable environments right now?
My message to young people growing up in unstable environments right now is to trust yourself, think before you act, and believe that you can make your life better. When everything around you feels unpredictable, your own judgment becomes your most reliable compass. I know from experience that it's tempting to make impulsive decisions when you are in survival mode, but pausing to consider consequences can protect you from additional setbacks. Most importantly, know that your current circumstances don't define your potential. Find one person who believes in you, a teacher, counselor, coach, and if you can't find that person, be that person for yourself. You can also be that person for someone else. Document your small wins, protect your dreams fiercely, and remember that many others have walked similar paths and created lives they're proud of. Your unstable environment isn't your destiny, rather, it's simply your starting point. We all have different starting points.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Might you share a little bit more about community chess night? What inspired you to start it and what impact that may have had?
Kids Chess Night for the community started in August 2023, and it has had a profound impact that extends far beyond the game itself. I started it after noticing how many children in our community needed this consistent space and opportunity in their lives. Chess teaches patience, strategic thinking, and consequences in a safe environment. What's been most remarkable is seeing the cross-generational connections forming. We have coaches mentoring children, parents learning alongside their kids, and newcomers discovering abilities they didn't know they had. These nights have become much more than chess. They've been about creating community bonds through eating together. So we have potlucks while building Pelina, or a connection that supports everyone involved and creating this sense of belonging. I'd like to mention here how the principles in pushing through your obstacles connect with and directly support peace building, because resilience and self-leadership are foundational to creating peace both within ourselves and our communities. Our chess nights have become a practical example of this, creating spaces where diverse community members build connections while developing critical thinking skills. These micro interactions of respect and understanding ripple outward in powerful ways.
No, thank you. As personally as a chess player myself, I've found chess to be a really wonderful life lesson into just I always share like, trying to think many steps ahead, whether it's on your, you know, homework or your professional life or just what you're going to do throughout the day. I think it just helps me kind of stay in tune with not feel as though things are out of control, but at the same time, I would say as a practitioner who does mediation facilitation, I've also found it to be very insightful in because sometimes I talk about, conflict happens and we can't plan for everything. And so we just have to pivot. And I think chess is a beautiful analogy for that because all of a sudden there's a move you didn't anticipate as many times as you've played. And so you just pivot. And so thank you for doing this for the community and, instilling these skill sets in our youth. Appreciate that. Um, a big theme in your book is turning setbacks into stepping stones. Can you share a personal example of how you did that?
Yes, a personal example of turning setbacks into stepping stones are breakups I've experienced. Initially, this felt like a devastating personal failure, but I chose to reframe it by recognizing that this person served their purpose in my life, which in turn made me stronger, smarter, and better equipped for what's ahead. Instead of dwelling in hurt, I documented the lessons learned and skills gained from that relationship. I asked myself, what did this experience teach me about my boundaries, needs, and values? This perspective shift transformed what could have just been emotional pain into valuable self-knowledge. This is exactly what I mean in the book by seeing obstacles as teachers rather than punishments. Every setback carries embedded within it the seeds of equal or greater growth if we're willing to look for them. Life goes on and it will only make you stronger.
Thank you. Um, maybe you kind of talked a little bit about this, but just wondering if maybe you have some additional insights into how do you handle, self-doubt or the voice of naysayers?
So first of all, ignore the naysayers. That sounds simple, but it requires intentional practice. I reminded myself that most criticism comes from people who haven't walked my path or faced the same challenges. They don't know who I am. To handle self-doubt, I've developed a collection of past achievements, positive feedback, and obstacles I've already overcome. When my inner critic gets loud, I revisit this concrete evidence of my capabilities. I reach out to friends and those I trust to confide in them. Remember, these are the good friends you decided to keep close to you in life for a reason. The goal isn't the elimination of self-doubt, it's learning to move forward alongside that doubt rather than being paralyzed by it.
Thank you. Thank you. And what advice do you have for someone who feels like they're constantly being told they're not good enough.
It's to surround yourself and spend time with people who constantly make you feel that you are. You want bucket fillers, not bucket dippers. This might mean making difficult decisions about relationships, even long-standing ones. Beyond that, start challenging that assumption that external validation determines your worth. Create your own metrics for success based on your values, not others' expectations of you. Find ways to document your progress in ways meaningful to you. And finally, recognize that not good enough messages often say more about the insecurities of those delivering them than about you. And when you understand this, you can hear criticism without absorbing it as truth about your identity or potential.
Thank you. Thank you. And might you have some advice for your younger self if you could say something to them?
Looking back, I would tell my younger self that everything will be all right, not just in a generic, reassuring way, but with the confidence of someone who has seen the full arc of the story. I'd say those nights when you feel completely alone, they're preparing you to be strong in ways you can't imagine yet. The challenges that seem unfair now will become the foundation of your ability to help others. Trust your instincts more and worry less about fitting into spaces not designed for you. Most importantly, you are already enough. Your worth isn't determined by your circumstances or others' perceptions of you.
Thank you. Is there a certain legacy you're hoping to leave, both for your community and your child?
For my child and community, the legacy I'm hoping to leave is that you can persevere through any obstacle if you put your mind to it. Don't let one setback stop you from your goal. I want my son to know growing up to know that resilience isn't just about enduring hardship, it's about transforming it into purpose. You don't have to walk in my shoes to be able to gain the same type of determination. I'd rather you not. Find what motivates you and then do it. For my community, I hope to leave behind systems and spaces that recognize potential in everyone, especially those whose circumstances might cause others to underestimate them. My deepest wish is that when people face their own obstacles, they'll remember something I wrote, taught, or demonstrated that helps them find their way forward. True legacy isn't about being remembered, it's about equipping others to write their own stories of triumph.
Thank you. For our listeners, takeaway, one thing from this conversation in your book, what do you hope that is?
If listeners could take away one thing from this conversation and my book, I hope it is the understanding that you are not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. Your past experiences, no matter how difficult, don't determine your future unless you allow them to. Every day presents a new opportunity to rewrite your story, and you have both the pen and permission to do so. The obstacles in your path aren't there to stop you, they are there to show you how much you want what's on the other side. I hope people chose close this book feeling not just inspired, but equipped with practical strategies to transform their challenges into catalysts for growth.
Thank you. Thank you. And so as we wrap up here, where could folks find your book and connect with you?
While my book is available online through Amazon and Barnes& Noble, I recommend visiting pushingthroughyourobstacles.com, where you can order a signed copy directly. Pushingthroughyourobstacles.com also features a gallery showcasing others who are pushing through their own obstacles. This has become an inspiring community space. You can also send me messages there. I personally respond to readers because these connections are what make this journey meaningful.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think one of the things you're um, leading on and just the power of community and connections and those relationships we tend to talk about, or I tend to talk about, and the power of building healthy, positive relationships. So thank you for doing that through your website and through your book and through all the good work that you're doing in the community. What's next for you? Any future books, projects, speaking engagements we should watch out for?
Looking ahead, I'm already gathering experiences for a second book, though I want to ensure I have meaningful new insights to share before putting pen to paper. In the more immediate future, I'm focusing on opening my own business, pursuing my doctorates within this decade, and working at my son's school. I'm actively accepting speaking engagements, connecting with audiences, and sharing these messages in person has become one of the most rewarding aspects of this journey. The website, pushingthroughyourobstacles.com, is the best place to reach out about booking opportunities.
Well, thank you so much, Julie, for this wonderful opportunity to learn further about you and the great work you're doing and your book. And look forward to having more conversations as time goes on. And I wish you all the best. Thank you again.
Thank you.